Women and girls constitute a silent minority in ADHD. Although ADHD is believed to occur nearly equally among genders, it's diagnosed 3 times more frequently in boys. As a result of this diagnostic gap, many girls find themselves growing up without access to treatment and carrying symptoms that impact their self-esteem, relationships, and life goals. What does ADHD look like in girls and women? And what are the specific barriers that seem to hinder their recognition? Let's dive in and see what research can tell us. Welcome to the Women's Mental Health series, a School of Women's Health production. On this channel, we dive into the research on women's health, aiming to decrease the gender gap in research and medicine and empower women. This is episode 1 in the Women's Mental Health series. There's plenty of overlap in the actual symptoms of ADHD across genders. The key differences in ADHD presentation between men and women appear to be due to other factors. The first factor driving this difference is the ADHD subtype. ADHD is characterized by difficulties in 2 domains, inattention and hyperactivity impulsivity. 3 primary subtypes can be identified. Predominantly inattentive, characterized by having difficulties with focus and organization or frequent daydreaming. Hyperactive impulsive, characterized by restlessness, impulsivity, and disruptive behavior. And combined presentations. Although all 3 subtypes can be found in women, women in general tend to be more likely to experience inattentiveness rather than hyperactivity. The second factor is masking of symptoms. Masking is a term used to describe the coping strategies that people develop to hide their symptoms of ADHD, oftentimes with the objective to fit in better with others. Although masking can occur in any gender, it's more often seen in women. Here are some common ways in which people with ADHD can engage in masking. Keeping duplicates of things around to compensate for forgetfulness, showing up extremely early to avoid being late, using multiple forms of reminders for one event, spending excessive time verifying and proofreading to make sure that there are no careless mistakes, holding back from speaking or sharing ideas for fear of coming across as impulsive or weird. The third factor driving the difference in ADHD presentation is the way in which women tend to cope with their emotions. As opposed to most boys with ADHD, who act out or externalize their symptoms, young girls and women are more likely to internalize their struggles, becoming anxious, depressed, and struggling with emotional regulation. People with ADHD may struggle with a constant sense that they are falling short or never quite fitting in. Without an understanding of the differences in how their brain functions, they can start to feel inadequate and worn down from daily struggles and constant self-monitoring. This inner struggle can lead to low self-esteem and mental health disorders, which, in turn, increase the risk of a misdiagnosis, because these conditions can be misinterpreted as primary conditions, when they are in fact a side effect or consequence of untreated ADHD. Hormonal changes are the fourth factor. Hormonal fluctuations can have a major impact on ADHD symptoms in women. Symptoms may be exacerbated by hormonal changes during the menstrual cycle, pregnancy, and menopause. The natural fluctuations in hormones that occur during the menstrual cycle can make ADHD appear or feel unstable, making it easier for symptoms to be dismissed as hormonal or at that time of the month. And as women approach menopause, the lower levels of estrogen can lead to impairments in sleep, memory, and concentration, which are often also mislabeled. When people think of ADHD, most people have a clear image in their heads. A loud, energetic child wreaking havoc in classrooms, constantly being asked to sit down. As it turns out, the daydreamer in the back may be struggling just as much. They are just less likely to be noticed. In males, ADHD is most commonly diagnosed in childhood. Females, on the other hand, are more likely to be diagnosed in their 30s. Getting noticed as needing help is critical to receiving proper care as a child with ADHD. In a classroom setting, girls who are struggling to pay attention are less likely to be flagged as needing any help. After all, children get referred when their behavior is disruptive to others. The gender stereotype of the ADHD disruptive boy greatly lowers the recognition of ADHD in girls and women. Living life without a proper diagnosis means not getting adequate help, which can lead to lifelong struggles in relationships, school, work, and daily tasks. You can find a link to an adult ADHD self-screening tool in the description box below. The screener was developed by the WHO to be used as a starting point to help people recognize the signs of adult ADHD. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative. If you're left with any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below and I'll try to get back to them. I've also linked a couple of relevant research articles in the description box below. Stay tuned for next week's video on how to deal with medical gaslighting.